Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fried and True. So today is going to be a little different, I guess. We're doing kind of a kitchen fridge thing, so we're going to do two things differently today. I'm going to do a lot more prep with you guys on the stream to show you how I put things together. I don't have, as you can see, I don't have everything all cut up and ready to go. So we're going to do that. And the main reason for this is because this is literally me going through my fridge and throwing something together with what I have on hand, which I think is one of the things that you get out of learning techniques rather than recipes. So we are going to do a couple kinds of bruschetta because I have over here I got a baguette, which is a day or so old now and needs to be toasted to be good. So bruschetta comes to mind. And we're also going to do carbonara because I happen to have the ingredients for that on hand. And carbonara is really simple. It's just, you don't need much. Eggs, parm, things that you always have in their fridge. Yes, plates in the oven. That's good because we need it for tonight. That's actually important. So let's do that. There we go. So remember, being in a hurry is no excuse for serving hot food on cold plates. But before we get into all of that, we are going to do a daiquiri. And this is one of my favorite cocktails, and I haven't made this in a long time. The daiquiri was invented in Daquiris, Cuba, which I think is on the southwest or southeast tip of Cuba. It's was invented by Jennings Cox. I don't know who he was. Anyway, eventually, this was around 1890-ish. Made its way to the States a few years later, courtesy of the U.S. Navy. It's a very simple, wonderful cocktail. It has 3 amazing ingredients. And unfortunately, since then, they have done terrible things to the daiquiri. To paraphrase The Godfather, it's like, look how they massacred my cocktail. I've seen daiquiris that are blended with crushed ice and neon pink and on spring break commercials and stuff like that. And it's no wonder nobody ever orders them because they look disgusting. However, we're going to do the original daiquiri recipe, which is relatively straightforward. I'm going to make 2 because I have to make one for... I don't have to. I'm going to make one for banana stalks. So let's get into that real quick because we have a lot of cooking to do. But daiquiris are always important. So, you want a light rum for this? I have Bacardi here. Perfectly great. And we're going to do 4 ounces. So these are double amounts. So I'm going to go 2 and 2. And then we'll take the top out of the shaker. We're going to mix it in the bottom. So 2 ounces of Bacardi, 2 parts, if you will. And then we want 1 part lime juice. I have lime juice somewhere here. Okay. Where did my lime juice go? Give me a sec, guys. That's bizarre. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, sorry. Let me get out of this big container here. So, as I said we were switch camp. Yeah, you got it. Okay, there we go. The one thing I did, and actually I didn't pre-prep this. I had this from the other night when we made another drink. Fresh lime juice. And then, so this is a little different. We're going to use simple syrup, but this is a Demerara simple syrup. So I made this with, you could also use cane sugar here. I think the original drink probably used Demerara. And if you don't have this on hand, I mean, plain old simple syrup is fine, but this gives it a depth of flavor that's quite nice. And it's 3/4 of a part. So for your drink, it would be 3/4 of an ounce. For this one, it's going to be 1.5 ounces. And I'll tell you, the ratio of these ingredients is very much a matter of personal taste. And it's also a function of how sweet. Well, sugar is pretty much sweet, the same everywhere. But if you're using cane sugar, for example, that would give you a different sweetness. limes are tart, but every lime is different. Seasonally, they're different. So you kind of have to make this drink to your taste. But this is a really good way to start. Is 2 parts rum, 1 part lime juice, and 3/4 of a part, if you will, of simple syrup. And I really do like the Demerara simple syrup for this. It gives it a depth of flavor that you would not get otherwise. So we need a little bit of ice in here. This is a shaken cocktail. I'm actually really looking forward to this. This is going to be good. I'm going to do a top on here. Blow you guys out on the mic, sorry. Okay, so for a daiquiri, as my bartender friend Amar would say, you want them hella cold. So take a little extra time in the shaker, and I'll tell you, wow, it's really cold. So normally you would serve this in a coupe glass, which is like the flattish. It's the glass they use incorrectly on TV shows everywhere for champagne. You know, the wide whatever. I don't have them. They're wildly impractical for everything except movie sets. So I'm just going to serve these in my favorite Dorothy Thorpe glasses. Made famous on the set of Mad Men. Well, okay, they were already famous. They're great glasses. Okay. And there we go. You can garnish this with whatever you want, but I'm not going to. Traditionally here, you'd want like a little lime peel. I forgot to make them. And since this is kind of a catch-as-catch-can evening, we're just going to go with this. So let me take one to Banana Socks. I will be right back, and we'll do a little taste test on this, and then we'll get cooking. All right, cheers, everybody. Let's go back to the taste test cam. And I think I nailed it. That's about, for me, I might take it. I know Banana Socks is going to be happy. I might make this a slightly more tart, but I think this is a good compromise for the two of us. It's more of a middle of the summer cocktail rather than end of summer, but you do what you have to. Okay, so let's get into, well, we're going to do bruschetta next. So traditional bruschetta, which we're going to do first. And there's only a couple of tricks to this, so I don't have a whole lot to go on here. But as I said, we're going to do the prep all together. I have, oh, should I switch cams? Is this better? Oops, there we go. So these are just regular Italian Roma tomatoes. Now with bruschetta, you want diced tomato, obviously. But what you don't want is all the tomato juice. You want tomatoes that are like just mixed up and just lightly coated with olive oil. And so all of the slices, and people do this with burgers too, it drives me crazy. They'll take a slice of wet tomato and put it on a burger, and it's just disgusting. Like, why would you do that? So in this particular case, we're not making tomato sauce. I don't want tomato sauce bruschetta. I just want diced tomato. So all you do is you take your finger and you kind of poke in there, and you just pop out the seeds and the juice. Oh, this one's split. Pop out the seeds and the juice. And now we're going to cut like nice dry tomato pieces. So let's do that real quick. By the way, if your knife does not go through a tomato like this, it needs to be sharpened. And this is really easy, guys. It's just like, you know, I'm just cutting it on the into a nice dice. I'm going to take this bowl back. I'm going to use it for my tomato. So other ingredients for a nice... Oh, let's pop the broiler on. And somebody remind me to take the plates out of the oven, because it's about to get very hot in there. because we need the broiler for this. But let's get this mixed up first. I'm gonna do one more. Guys, excuse me a sec. Taking the seeds and the juice out. It's totally acceptable to leave that in if you're making. Actually, I don't know what I would leave them in for, but I'm sure you leave them in for something. And again, just nice little slices. You know, when you're dicing food too, you want to think about you read this in recipes all the time, and there is a standard. You know, if you go on some of the like a chef's website and look up like what's a small dice, what's a medium dice, what's a large dice, there are very precise measurements for all of that. And if you go to a chef's school or a cooking school, they will measure your dice, with a ruler to make sure it's the right size. However, the point of all of it is you got to eat it with your mouth, and you want the pieces to be the right size to carry the flavor of the ingredients in an appropriate manner. So, probably have enough here. If I cut these into huge cubes, that's not going to work on a little piece of little piece of bread. And also, a huge cube is not going to get like nicely coated in all the sauce that I want to use. So I know that this size here, and you can just eyeball it, is about the right size for what I'm doing. And you just do that by experience. I mean, it's just common sense. Anyway, so for this, we also want to do a little basil, I like. This was, this wasn't in the guy I bought this today, so it's the only thing I didn't have. And I'll show you a little quick trick here for cutting up basil. So you want nice sized basil pieces. And what I do here is, and this also has a chiffonade is basically what we're going to do here. But actually a chiffonade just means really easy way to cut up basil leaves. And you don't want a lot of stems. Like, take your time with this stuff. I know people, they do this parsley and stuff like that. They just like whack off half the head of parsley and get all the stems in there and everything. You don't necessarily want that. So we got some nice leaves here. So all you do with these guys is you take them, you roll them up into a little tube. I'm going to take those two stems off the end, and then we're just going to like cut it into little slivers, I guess. Now, depending on what you're doing, I could just leave it like this, but I'm going to run the knife through these pieces because I want them a little bit smaller, and that can go in there. We don't have enough, so we're going to get a little bit more. Again, this comes down to personal preference. I mean, basil isn't a super strong flavor, so you can kind of it's hard to use too much basil. I don't think I've ever bitten into a piece of bruschetta and thought, oh my god, this has too much basil. Let's just roll this guy up again. This will be enough. Any questions so far, by the way? I know this is all really straightforward so far. This is basic stuff. And this is the kind of stuff, I normally would prep all this before stream, but people keep asking to see what it looks like. So here you go. I just eyeball this by color. If I see enough green, which I do, I figure I'm good. It just needs a little bit of salt. Tomatoes need salt, by the way. And hopefully this will have a chance to sit while we do the bread. But I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do some olive oil too. But if you ever want to prove to yourself that tomatoes need salt, cut yourself a slice of tomato and cut 2 slices. Salt one, leave it for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then come back and taste them. And the difference, I think, will shock you. So it's a really good way to learn how to salt food. So we're going to drizzle in some olive oil here. And I think That, you know what? I think a little pepper is going to be good here. There we go. All right, so that's our that's going to be our topping for the bruschetta. Excuse me. I'm just going to set that aside for now as we get to it. The next thing we're going to do is, so I was thinking about bruschetta, not for this one. Honestly, for this bruschetta, I know you can put red onions in it, you can put shallots in it, but for a basic bruschetta actually is technically right, I think. My Aunt Liz would know the exact pronunciation, but I like this, the very basic. Tomatoes, basil, olive oil. If you have, how much do you spend on a good... Sorry, the chat's coming up a little out of order here. Let me answer the first question. I like the purity of a really good quality olive oil, fresh tomatoes, and basil. There are other kinds of bruschetta, and in fact, we're going to do one right now because I had not an epiphany, but I found something in the fridge that I thought would make a good bruschetta. But start with this one. I mean, if you like red onion, and I would add red onion to this, but I really like the basics. Keep in mind, too, I'm allergic to fresh fruits and vegetables, so I can only have like 1 or 2 of these before it becomes an issue, so I tend to keep it simple. So that's the answer to that question. Now, how much do I spend on a good olive oil? Olive oil is an interesting thing because most commercial olive oil has sketchy origins. A lot of it's not even really olive oil. They say it is. It's not. There are all kinds of different suppliers all over the world, so you never know what you're getting. I like the so my everyday cooking olive oil, not cooking, my everyday olive oil when I'm not doing something super special is I get this at Farm Boy, and it's actually pretty good. I know that the King, what's the Costco house brand? Somebody tell me. The Costco house brand is okay. If you luck into a retailer that you trust and they know what they're talking about, Kirkland, that's it. Then you can spend up to about $30-$35 on a liter of olive oil. And to be honest, if I had something, I haven't found that kind of thing in Toronto, and I could check at Schiffler's, but I just haven't found a reliable source. I would definitely use it here, but I don't have it, so I'm sticking with the Farm Boy stuff because that's what I got. And again, it's it's what we have, and this night's all about what we have in the fridge. So that, and we're going to toast the bread in a sec, but I want to prepare the next topping. So I was thinking about things I had in the fridge, and I was at this farmer's market a couple of weeks ago now. I got this sheep's milk feta, which I've been trying to figure out a way to use. So we're going to use it tonight, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to combine the feta. We're going to cut the fat a little bit with some lemon juice, and then we're going to put it back in with some olive oil. And the nice thing about feta, and I found these. These are, I had these for ages, man. These are, can you guys see? Piri piri peppers. These have been in the back of my cover for ages. They have an amazing flavor. It's a great little accent thing. If you ever see these, just grab a jar. It's fantastic in a salad, whatever you want. They stand alone. So, but I was thinking like, these aren't going to stick to bread, and it's just going to run right through. So if we make a base with, we're going to puree this, or we're going to blend it, and then we're going to spread it on the bread. We're going to top it with the piri piri peppers, probably drizzle it with even more olive oil, and that'll be a good way to go. So let's get that going too. I'm just going to, cube this up. I don't need a ton of this. There's only so much of this stuff I can eat. But what do you think? That looks about right? Cube it up. The only thing I have to be careful is it has to create enough volume for it to actually mix in the blades, but I think we're good there. I think that's going to be good. Save a little bit of that. And take our lemon. Uh-oh. Okay. Little big ass lemon. Take a couple corners off this guy. I have a giant citrus press just over there, but I don't feel like getting it out. It's really heavy and overkill. So I'm looking for enough liquid here. First of all, I have to create like a paste. And that actually might be enough. Might be enough. By the way, I do have a little... that is a reach, but it's funny. I do have a garbage out here. I'm not just throwing stuff on the floor. Okay. This mini chop, these mini chop things are fantastic. I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, switch cameras. There we go. This is a mini chop. This was a gift from my kids from years ago. It's just a fantastic little tool. And we're gonna want a little olive oil in here too. Now I don't need salt in this for seasoning because feta's already pretty salty. So I'm gonna taste it first. But I can tell you right now, it's definitely gonna need some pepper. Seems good. And let's give this a blitz and cross your fingers and hope this works. Oh, it worked. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so let's get this out so you guys can see what it looks like here. I think I hit the consistency I wanted like right off the bat, which is kind of nice. Nice and creamy. Maybe no, actually that's good. That's going to be perfect. You could go a little tighter on this, a little less liquid, but I think for a first pass and for a weeknight dinner, you know, kind of nailed it here. So I'm pretty happy with that. So there you go, guys. That is a feta lemon olive oil base for our bruschetta. Let's pop these guys open. No idea how to even get these guys out. So you could dice these guys, but they're so cute, like these little mini peppers. I'm just going to leave them whole. If I can get them out. Okay, let's drive me crazy. Hang on. I'm just going to strain these guys out. There we go. So these aren't hot peppers. They do have a little, I mean, they're tangy, but they're not like, it's not like a hot pepper. So now, we've got to slice up some bread, get it toasted, and I'll show you my secret for both garlic bread and bruschetta and really anything when you're applying garlic to bread. And again, we don't want to slice this like super thick. It's all about balance, right? Like your bread is sort of a carrier to get the good stuff to your mouth, so you don't want it to be like a super thick piece. There's just too much bread. Don't need to do too many of these actually tonight. There's only so much of this stuff I can eat. What do you think? Well, maybe one more. Okay. Alright. Oh. Remember, you guys were supposed to remind me to get the plates out of the oven? Those have to cool for a bit. And it's actually important. We'll talk about that when we get to the actual carbonara sort of techniques and whatnot. You don't want your plates to be too hot because, well, you'll see when we do it. This is going to be useless for bruschetta. It's just going to make a big mess. So I'm going to leave that guy out. So these just go into the broiler till they're toasted. That'll take a couple minutes. We're going to take a super quick break for questions because that's got to toast. Well, any questions so far? Not really. Okay. I don't need this tomato anymore. Sorry, I'm just sort of cleaning as I go here. Oh yeah, that was in something, wasn't it? Oh, there you go. Okay. Let me go over here. Awesome. Okay, great. And as I've said this a million times, and it is important, and I don't do it on stream because, you know, I don't want to turn my back on you guys and do the dishes and whatnot. But it's really important as you're cooking. Your cooking will be so much more enjoyable if you clean as you go. You always have time to clean. It takes no more extra time to just quickly hit the sink and clean up what's there, put it in the drain rack. If you have a dishwasher, even better. But you'll get to the end of your meal, and the only thing you have to clean up is the dishes that you served on. Okay, smell that's ready. It's not. I can smell it's almost ready. In the meantime, I'm going to show you what we're going to do here with, I want a fat clove for this here. Maybe even 2. Let's start with 1. So to get the garlic flavor into the bread, you have a couple of choices. You can mince the garlic and toss it with your bruschetta topping. However, there is a much better way to infuse garlic flavor into your bread, which we're going to do right now. There we go. It was almost ready. So, all you do, and this, you have to taste this to really believe it works. But all you do is you take your half your clove here and you just rub it on the bread. And the oils, the crispy abrasive toasting of the bread will scrape the oils right out of the half clove. And, you know, one piece of half a clove's good for like 5 or 6 pieces of bread. I'm not doing a lot here, so I don't like it extra garlicky. But you can just like, you can even smell the difference. It's such an easy thing to do, and it works perfectly every time. And more importantly, it gives you an even presentation of your flavor. One of the things that's tricky with garlic is such a strong flavor. So if I mince this up, and I'm pretty good at mincing, but if I minced this up and I threw it in my, that's really hot, and I threw it in my, you know, in the topping mix, I'm going to end up with little garlic bombs, you know, and if it doesn't go on the piece right, then that piece is going to either have too much garlic or not enough garlic. And they do this, smooshy one of those. They do this with Windsor pizza. Windsor pizza, when they put the pepperoni on, it's grated or shredded or whatever. So you have an even coating of pepperoni all over the pizza. Okay, so let's get a couple of these mixed up and do a little taste test here, and serve some of this for proof of concept. Banana sauce in the other room. So first up, let's see if we can get a couple of these covered in this stuff. And you can see how this, you can see actually, forms a nice base for whatever topping. This is plugging all the holes in the bread. It's keeping the oil and all the good stuff from like running right through under your fingers, which, you know, is okay sometimes, but if I was making these like for a party or as an actual appetizer to serve to guests, you don't want the stuff running all over their fingers and on their clothes. And this is just a perfect way to sort of seal it all up. This is why you, it's probably not. This is why you, by the way, you butter the insides of sandwich bread or use mayo. I mean, obviously butter adds amazing flavor, but that barrier of fat on the bread keeps all of your more liquid things that you put in your sandwich from soaking into the bread and running all over the person's fingers. Okay, so I'm just gonna I think these guys are super cute. So I'm just gonna like place them on. And that guy's actually pretty big. So this guy, he's kind of big. I'm gonna split this guy. And 1, 2, 3. You guys can go away for now. So I'm only going to eat one of these. I'm going to serve some of these to Banana in the other room. So let's top up the other pieces with the actual just bruschetta. Now these are the ones where you try and eat these and they just, I get it. That's the thing with bruschetta is from a mouth, or from an eating point of view, your pieces of bread really should be small enough that somebody can get the whole thing in their mouth at once. Otherwise, if you bite it, if you eat half of one of these, you're asking for trouble. Now, I do think, I'm looking at these right now, and olive oil is flavor, and I kind of feeling like they just need like a little drizzle of olive oil to sort of fatten them up, as it were. I'm gonna make, I'm probably, because of my allergy, my limit's probably one piece of each, but I want to do the taste test for you guys. I will be right back. Give me a sec. And I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to try these real quick. We're going to take a short, I'm going to reconfigure everything. Daquiris palette cleanser. I'm going to go for the basic first. I can't eat this whole thing. Who am I kidding? So, this is the one thing I love about this dish. Tomatoes are in season here too. These are really good. We have just tomato, olive oil, basil, a little bit of seasoning, and the bread and garlic. And this is just like, it's so good. And the garlic flavor is perfect. I swear to God that scraping the garlic on the bread gives you just the perfect amount of garlic. It's never overpowering. It's never, but it always carries through. Really happy with that, guys. We'll get to the experiment in a sec. Again, this is one of the things about knowing techniques is that you can go through your fridge and realize that you have sheep's milk feta left over and some piri piri peppers and a couple lemons, and it's probably going to make a good combination. Oh, they are spicy. A little bit. I love this. This turned out way better than I thought, guys. It's quite good. So the piri piri pepper has a bit of kick. It's not super spicy, but it's got just enough of a kick. You've got this incredibly salty, rich feta forming the base, and to cut the fat in the feta, you have the lemon juice and the olive oil over everything just to add extra flavor. That was amazing. I would definitely do that again. Very happy. Alright, yeah. Wow. That was really something else. Yes, fire roasted red peppers would be perfect for this. If I was going to do fire roasted red peppers, I think I'd kick them up. I might dress them a little bit with some vinegar or something, an acid to punch up the flavor a bit, because they wouldn't be as spicy. But that was just a taste sensation. You know what, guys? I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make another one. Give me a sec. Sorry, I just want to remember the flavor. Then I promise we'll go on just a little bit. Peppers were here. Come on, one more. All right. Okay, so I know, oops, this is a little more than just a tasting, but wow. You guys can see what I'm doing here, but I'm going to do one more. Wait a minute. Okay. I had to recommend this, guys. And you don't have to have, like, sheep's milk feta from a farmer's market. This would work great with any kind of feta cheese. Yeah. Good. Okay. I'm gonna make some room here. Let's continue on. Give me 2 seconds to just wipe this down. And we'll move on to carbonara. So, guys, any questions on what we just did? I know we're a little all over the place tonight. I'm okay with that. Again, this is the what's in the fridge night. And this is what we have in the fridge. Definitely a little trick there. I'm waiting to hear from Banana Socks in the other room, who's the final arbiter on spice. But I haven't heard any screams, so I think we're good. Okay, so I have hydrated as required. Might do that again. We are now moving into the main event. I'm going to turn up my water here a little bit. Carbonara. Plates. Oh, yeah, let me just see where we're at with plates. Kingston. Yeah, those plates are... Ooh, those plates will be hot enough for quite some time yet, so I'm not going to put them... Well, they don't need to go back in yet. I'll check them in a couple minutes. So, ingredients for carbonara are really straightforward. This is all stuff I had in the fridge. Perfect plan. You need parm. There's a little bit of pancetta. We're not going to use all of this. We're going to use some of it. Eggs, which are here. Cheese we got. Oil. And, of course, some pasta here. So I happened to get this really great spaghetti from our local Italian market. And we'll probably use about half of this. It says 8 to 10 minutes. So looking forward to trying this out. This is, so guys, with dried pasta, if you're in the supermarket and you have to, as I said before, the Barilla brand in the blue box is a great go-to dry pasta. Solid, tastes great. I've never been disappointed. Although, I did notice they shrunk their boxes from 454 grams, which is a pound, to 400. But whatever. They got to make money too. But if you have an Italian market near you or whatever, get good pasta. It's worth it. Bacon, yeah, bacon would also work. So the bacon works great. You have to be a lot more careful. Ooh, my toe. You have to be a lot more careful seasoning the dish when you're using bacon, depending on the kind of bacon. Bacon can be quite salty, especially when you crisp it up. But you're right. Bacon would be great. So those are the ingredients. Let's get this ready. The first thing we have to do, actually, is crisp up the pancetta in some oil. So let's do that first. Ooh, there we go. And again, take your time with this. We're going to go a little bit quick on a little bit higher heat than I would recommend you doing at home, just because we need to get through it. But I'm going to go with about, again, I'm doing this for 2. I figure that's about right. You guys can see okay? So let me get a... Don't need duck fat for this. Duck fat, the flavor of duck fat would honestly be lost if you're cooking pancetta or any kind of smoked meat. So this is just regular old olive oil, and we're just going to go until it crisps up. So the other thing we can do while this is crisping up is we can get our cheese started. Where is my other mixing bowl? Missing. Oh, the tomatoes are in it. Let's do it in this. Okay, so you want I don't know, you want about 2 ounces of parm for this, for 2 people. Maybe not quite 2 ounces, but I love parm, so I always err on the side of more. I used to have a rotary grater, but it broke, and I switched over to using. Sorry guys, give me a second. It was really hot. Okay. You can settle down for a sec. So I switched over to using the microplane for Parmesan cheese, which has worked extremely well. It's not quite as fast, but I'll tell you, the real advantage of using the microplane is you get a much better grate of cheese. It's a lot finer, and the advantage of that, especially with what we're doing here, and actually quite frankly, it's not really that much, but the advantage is it blends into the sauce or any dish, even if you're grating this over top. It just blends and melts so much easier, whereas the rotary grater thing we had was oh, fun. So we talked about this last week. Bench scraper, very handy thing. I usually just used to do this with like a chef's knife, but let's face it, chef's knives are narrow, and I get to use a cool toy. But having said that, toys are only cool if they actually have a useful purpose. So this is better than a chef's knife for getting ingredients up, cutting dough, whatever you need to do with it. This has a use that can't be replaced by something else. If it was just cool to use and I could do the same thing with a chef's knife, I wouldn't bother, no matter how cool it was. So you can see our bacon here is getting pretty crisp. So as well, and this, guys, this dish is so easy to make. You basically have 3 components. We're going to have our pasta, like our spaghetti noodles in a second. We're going to have this egg cheese mixture and garlic, actually. We're going to put some garlic in there. And then you have your fried bacon. I'm frying it in the olive oil, but the whole thing goes into the dish. Although I may cut back on the oil a little bit here. However, let's get these eggs going. For 3 people, if I was making this for 3, I would use 3 eggs. Sorry, if I was making it for 4, I would use it for 3, but since it's really hard to crack 1.5 eggs, I'm going to use 2 here. And let's go for, you can never really use too much garlic. Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a sec towards the end, because that's the trick with carbonara. You'll see when we put this together, and I'll go through it very carefully. That is the key to carbonara, and it's really easy to screw it up. So I like, you can mince it if you want, but I actually like pressed cloves for this. It sort of expresses more oil out of the garlic. And then we simply take this and get a little, combine it with the egg. So if you guys haven't made carbonara before, the basic technique is that we're going to take the noodles and we're going to put noodles in a bowl, and the residual heat from the noodles will cook the eggs. Okay, so this is basically ready. But however, take white wine, or in this case I don't have any white wine, and since it's what's around night, I'm going to use vermouth. And of course, all the alcohol is going to cook off here. But you can see, so I don't know if you guys can see how this sauce, lighting is actually not very good, creamed up. Just added another level of silkiness to it. Okay, so this is basically ready. Okay, my pasta water is now boiling. Yeah, this does come together very quickly. And there's only 2 of us here tonight, so I'm going to use, basically half the noodles. And what did we say this was? I just threw up the instructions. 8 to 9 minutes. So we're going to give this 9 minutes on the timer. Your noodles can go there. I'll deal with you guys later. Perfect. So let me just get in and stir up those noodles. So, in terms of weeknight prep, because I did say this was a quick dish to do, you can literally have this on the table in like 20 minutes. I know at Kingston it looks like a lot of oil, and in fact I may not use it all. And I'll show you a couple of tricks. And there's traditional ways to do this, and there's kind of my way. So one of the things that I don't like about, so when you do it traditionally, and you see at the end, we're going to toss the eggs with the hot noodles. It's going to make this amazing silky smooth sauce. And then you add the bacon, the pancetta, and the oil. But what happens is the chunks of bacon pancetta all fall to the bottom, and it's really hard to serve. So I tend to put enough oil into the mix till I'm satisfied with the consistency, serve it, and then I top it with the bacon. Because everybody wants their fair share of pancetta or bacon because it's so good, right? And I don't just if you leave it randomly in there, it doesn't seem to work that well. This, in fact, is done. I can tell. We're just going to turn this off. Okay, and we're doing okay for time. This is working out great. So, any other questions on what we're doing here? We still have a few minutes. We have 6 minutes, in fact, so I would love to hear some questions. And I know some people who are watching, is this my favorite? That's a really good question. I'm going to stretch as per Kingston Cooking while I think about that. This is very close to one of my favorite pastas. This is, in fact, on, it's right here on page 1 of the little blue book at the bottom. It's carbonara. One of the first things that went in. However, above it is the Scarlet's pasta, which I also really like. But it's definitely one of my favorites. Has anybody out there started their own, the Alfredo and mac and cheese? I have a lot of favorite pastas, I think. Has anybody else started their own little blue book? I highly recommend these guys. These are, and for those of you, most of you have heard me talk about this, but just in case you haven't, this is a a book of my dishes that I'll go back to over and over and over again. I've made a lot of great things, and not, I would say, like 1% of the dishes actually make it into the little blue book. But the ones that do are the things that, yeah, actually, Banana Socks is right. I've got Alfredo and Scarpetta here. These dishes are the things that I can open up and make any night. I never get tired of them. And they're not all dishes. I got like a dumpling sauce in here. This is my favorite dumpling sauce for when I make dumplings, because the commercial stuff is really bad. We've got our bacon onion jam, which is a recent addition, which is one of my favorite things to serve with steak at the moment. Doesn't seem like a lot of pasta. Anyway, if you don't have one, I recommend starting one. Even if it's just, a notepad or... I like the idea... I like physically writing things down. That's why I have the book. But, if your browser works for you, whatever. I did salt the pasta water. It is 50 grams per liter. No, not 50 grams. Maybe. I have a ratio. I wrote it down. I'm pretty sure it's around 50 grams per gallon or something. Might be per liter. 5 grams? I don't know. 50 grams seems like a lot of salt. Might be 5 grams per liter. Anyway, I did salt the pasta water. And by the way, salting pasta water, you salt more for dry pasta than you do... Sorry, you salt more for fresh pasta than you do for dry. Because, like when I'm making... Like for the lobster mac and cheese, for example, which we did last week, those noodles cook in like 2 minutes. So that pasta water was very heavily salted because the pasta's only in it for 2 minutes. Whereas this pasta's in for 9 minutes, it's not as heavily salted. To be honest, I usually just eyeball it. I got a pretty good sense for salting pasta water. It's like, for me, if you really want to know, for that pot, it's like 2 full pinches of my hand. Seems to be about right. Okay. And you know what? The plates can go back in the oven. Kingston was correct. We're going to give the plates a little blast of heat. So here's the trick with serving carbonara. Now that I have 2.5 minutes to talk about it. You need the eggs to cook completely through. And if you do it right, the residual pasta heat will cook the eggs into this beautiful, silky, amazing texture. And if you don't get it right, your eggs will scramble. It still tastes good. So it's not like you have to chuck the dish if that happens. However, you lose a lot of the sort of the mouthfeel to it. Which is why, so I used to drain the noodles and put them back in the pot that I cooked the noodles in. But the pot was too hot. And I found that the eggs would scramble, like cook completely through and form like little chunks. So I've gone to using a separate bowl. If you have a ceramic bowl, you can warm it slightly in the oven. But this is also one of the reasons you don't want your bowls that you're going to serve in too hot, because if they're too hot, you'll scramble the eggs when you put the dish in the bowls. Also not what you want. But they do have to be hot enough to keep the dish warm. Sounds really complicated. It's really not. Once you do it a couple dozen times, you'll figure it out. We have 1 minute and 20 seconds. So that's going to happen reasonably quickly. I hope I get this right. We're going to go pasta into the colander into here. You can save a little bit of your pasta water to loosen it up if you get the wrong consistency. I generally don't, and I'm not going to this time. And also, when a recipe calls for like saving pasta water, typically I can control how much water the pasta retains before I let it drain completely. So if I know I need to save a little bit of pasta water, I'll kind of like pick it up out of the colander while it's still wet before it's fully drained and use it right off the bat. Again, that's a kitchen thing. You'll learn as you go. If you do want to save your pasta water, you can do that. Okay, you know what? Let's do that. Fine. Since we're talking about it, I got a couple seconds here. Let's just there. So we got a scoop of pasta water here just in case. I don't think we're going to need it, but there you go. So yeah, Phrygian, I don't generally need to add pasta water to get the eggs to cook, but we'll see as we go. It's different every time. Okay, here we go. I'm also going to do this quickly, but also slowly and carefully. Okay. So that goes in. That is not a lot of pasta. Okay, and this is so hot, I don't even want to put the eggs in here yet. Okay. So your egg mixture goes in. We're going to give this a stir. Oh, I nailed it. Okay. Again, you can see here from the consistency, I've got no curdling, but I'm worried. So I'm just going to like get this up out of the air. Even though I want it hot, I'm kind of cooling it here. But you can see how perfectly this, oh, actually you can't. Now you can. You can see how perfectly it coats the noodles. There's no chunks. I have a nice coating on all of my noodles. Now, I'm also going to move quickly to serve this. And I guess, as Kingston said, I have a lot of oil here. I do want some. And we don't need to add pasta water, although sometimes this can come out quite thick and I would need it, but I'm really happy with the way it is just right now. So let's get the bowls out. Ooh, those are hot. I'm on the right cam? I'm on the right cam. Okay, I take it back. These are large portions. So this is quite a big noodle for spaghetti. And then here, and again, you can toss your bacon in, but as I said, I like to just like top it. And there's nothing wrong with just tossing your bacon into the dish and serving it. And especially you can serve this family style, so you could make up like a giant pot of this and just put it, in a big warm bowl in the center of the table. There was no lemon in this. Did I say lemon? I didn't mean to say lemon. I'm going to just deliver this one real quick. Not for this dish. I wouldn't do it. Red pepper flakes have their place, and we'll talk about that in a second in like the scarlet pasta. This dish doesn't need it. Okay. Now I have a much bigger mess here than I normally do. How are you guys doing? Normally, if I was going to serve this, I would like clean up the plate here a bit. There we go. Can you guys see that okay? Wow, that's a really hot plate. Yeah, no way. Well, it's a little al dente. Yeah. A little more crunch than I'd like. I think you're right. Okay, so banana sauce is right. This is very al dente. It's not raw. It's got way more bite in the middle than it should. And now I got to figure out how to fix this. No, and we'll get to the sauce in a second. Let me see how the sauce turns out. Yeah. The sauce is amazing. Okay, this one's a little pepper. Okay, so here's where we're at. From a taste point of view, it's fantastic. The pasta is very al dente. It's too al dente, I think. Even somebody who likes it, al dente. But as I'm eating it, it's starting to cook even just a little bit more. So let's just give it a sec here. Okay. It's tasting... Okay. Now, it's impossible to put this back in the oven or in the water for a couple of minutes. As this dish sits, I can feel it. Pasta's cooking more and more. I'm trying to figure out a way to add a bit of heat to this dish to finish off the pasta. And, it's so good. What are we going to do here, guys? Open to suggestions. I'm honestly thinking, nah, I don't want to bake it. I'm afraid it'll break. I might just nuke it for 30 seconds. But maybe you're right. Maybe baking it's better. I need to get heat directly into the, yeah. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to combine the two techniques. Got a little pasta water. I know this is sacrilege, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Cross your fingers, guys. 30 seconds in my timer that sometimes cooks things. Banana Socks, if you want to bring yours out, I can give it the same treatment. This is the wonders of doing it live, eh? Wish I was on YouTube. I can edit all that shit out. I will in a sec. I mean, I want to see if this works. Ooh, that's really hot. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Yeah, I did it. So now, I thinned it out a bit. The sauce is a little thin because of the pasta water. But the pasta's perfect. So hang on. I'm just going to straight up nuke Banana Soxes and, yeah, you know, that pasta looked like such a great deal. I just feel the time, cooking time, because that pasta said 8 to 10 minutes on the packaging. We did it for 9. You know, it's my fault. I should have tasted it right out of the pot and I would have known that it wasn't ready yet. So live and learn. Now it's perfect. And it tastes really good. So, not perfect tonight, guys. Not perfect tonight. The taste profile, I think, is bang on. The seasoning is perfect. The egg sauce, even thinned out a bit, is still a beautiful consistency. So overall, very happy. But not perfect. It happens. Unfortunately, with carbonara, it's one of those dishes where, yes, it goes together fast, but it has to come together in like just the right way. This time it didn't. And I think I made 2 mistakes with this dish. Was using pasta I've never used before because it looks so good. It is good. But I could have solved this. I could have solved all of this with just testing the pasta out of the water. All I had to do was like grab a little piece of pasta. Actually, this is getting better and better as it sits. But all I had to do was grab a little bit of pasta, and I would have known right away. It's really tasty though. So, qualified success? I don't know. I've made better bruschetta or carbonaras. It's good for a weeknight. I'd be thrilled with this, but it could be better. So there you go, guys. Not perfect. I am happy with the way bruschetta came out, but not 100% thrilled with the carbonara. I've done this better. But you guys got to see the technique. You know how to do it. You know how not to do it. I'm looking at these spaghetti noodles too. Like, this is a big ass noodle. This is way bigger than like a normal box pasta piece of spaghetti would be. And I'm thinking that if I was going to do this, if I was going to use these noodles again, I would do a different dish. These would be fantastic with like Alfredo, but not great for this dish. Yeah. I think I would have stuck with the tried and true, no pun intended, for this dish. Still very tasty, but not what I had hoped for. I gotta say, normally when I make on the stream, it's the best time I've ever made it. Not this time. But you know, that's just the way it goes. Kingston, thanks very much for coming out. I missed you last week. I hope to see you next week. And I'm going to hang around for a few and try and figure out how I would do this different next time. But thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to finish my drink, sit here and answer questions for a few minutes. But other than that, we're kind of done. That's where we're at, guys. So thanks again as always. We can talk about that. I am open to suggestions. I don't even think I have anything left on the list. I'd have to go look. I know, yeah, capellini would work too. Honestly, a traditional size. Have I made a whiskey sour on stream before? I think I did really, really early on, Ashmom. But I could definitely do it again. It's one of my favorites. So maybe we'll do whiskey sours next week. Because I just never get tired of making them. Okay, so whiskey sours is the cocktail for next week. That's decided. And we just have to think of a dish. Do I make soups? No. But I can. I'd have to think about that. Soups are harder to do on stream simply because they have to simmer for so long. So it'd be one of those streams where, you know, like when I did the chicken, I can show you how to prep everything and then take a finished chicken out of the oven. And we can go from there. I'm going to have to think about that, guys. Let me look in the Little Blue Book. But we've gone through a fair number of the recipes in the Little Blue Book. We really have. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research. I don't know. Think of something good. We could do another I mean, there's a million mac and cheese things. Oh, Indian curry. I mean, we could just have some fun next week and do, yeah, I can't do Irish stew. It just takes too long. But I could do crunch wraps. Crunch wraps is just fun. I kind of, like, if Friesian and the crew, oh yeah, General Zo chicken. If Friesian and the crew, my nephews are going to be on next week, I will definitely do crunch wraps because it's great for kids, and I like it. Aspalm, same thing with shepherd's pie. It's like you prep it all and you put it in the oven, and then we can sit around for an hour. And I'm happy to talk to you guys for that long, but it might get a little dull. No weighing in on shepherd's pie. I don't think I can do it. The crunch wraps are hilarious. I'm kind of leaning towards that. Maybe we can make it into a well, okay, I'll make it for you anyway. Somebody throw out another idea. So crunch wraps won't take that much time, but maybe if we're doing like fast food at home. Okay, so I'm gonna do crunch wraps next week, and if you guys can think of anything now, we're gonna basically the theme for next week is going to be fast food at home. How to make good versions of things that you would normally get at a drive-thru. And we can do poutine. I can do poutine and crunch wraps. We could even do whatever their horrific fries thing they serve, too. What do you guys think? Chicken satay? Yes. Another street food? Should we do like a street food thing? Street food drive-thru? Well, I mean horrific in a good way. Okay, so we got lots of ideas. I'm definitely going to do crunch wraps because I think it's just a really fun thing to do. And if the nephews are around, I think they'll get a kick out of it too. And, oh, you know what we could do, Banana Socks? Do you remember the fries from Rorschach? That's what we'll do. It's kind of an upscale version of what Banana Socks is talking about. Have a great night, Smooshy. Okay, I feel like we have a good plan for next week. We've got... yeah, it was getting itchy, and I'm not cooking anymore, so it's all right. It was getting itchy, and we have a good plan for next week. We'll do crunch wraps. We've got a good drink. We'll do this amazing fry dish, which isn't quite poutine, but it's a dish that Banana Socks and I used to get at a local brewery, which I think is really, really great. And it's kind of along the same lines as the, I don't even know what they're called at Taco Bell, but they're fry supreme, maybe? It's our own version of fry supreme. Ooh, we haven't done po' boy sandwiches either. Okay, we got lots of good ideas. Okay. I'm going to take all that and figure it out, guys. So everybody have a good night. I'm here for another couple, if you guys have any questions. But other than that, I'm going to sign off shortly. Excuse me. Okay, guys. Have a great night, and see y'all next week.